doing here tonight. I'm here tonight. We're going to be discussing the school budget, as I told everybody. With my running mates, I have here Dane Leo, Carmen Brianti. We're trying to win this year, but I'm here with a special guest tonight. I told everybody to have a special guest to talk about the school budget. Very important. A lot of people wanted to know about this topic, so I brought in the big guns, Mr. Tommy Barquette. For people who don't know who he is, he was started his career as a teacher at school number 3. He was principal at school number 4, number 8. He was the business administrator. He was also deputy mayor in Garfield. He's currently a member of the Garfield Board of Education and has been for many years. And he's also currently the superintendent and BA of an Inglewood charter school. And we thought that it would be good to bring him in to discuss the budget and let you folks have an idea of how this whole process works. So, Mr. Barquette, I guess we'll start off with basically the process. Can you explain like the first steps that are involved with getting the budget in order, I guess? And so go ahead.
Well, first I want to thank you for inviting me. I think this is a tremendous forum to keep the taxpayers and even students aware of what's going on. The budget is put together specifically by the superintendent of schools, Ms. Siaka, and our BA, Dr. Cusmano, to each building principal. The principals go back to their staff and they come up with the needs assessments to what they need in each school. So therefore, every school in Garfield has their own separate budget and based upon the enrollment. So some schools have a larger budget based upon enrollment versus those that have a lesser budget. Now that is put together by the central administration. It comes to the finance committee. On the finance committee, then we turn around and we recommend it to the board. We did it at our last meeting. The board has to pass a temporary budget. Then it goes to the Bergen County Superintendent's office. The Bergen County Super and the Bergen County Business Administrator have to certify that this budget will provide a thorough and efficient education to our students. At that point, it comes back to us, which it has. And now we're going to have a public hearing. At that time, the public have a right to vote, and then it goes on the ballot. That's the process of the budget itself. So.
Okay, so as you guys all saw, you know, that's the process. Now, the other big question that I guess everybody had is why would we put a 5% increase on the tax levy? And now some people don't even know what the tax levy is. Now, tax levy is a portion of the budget that is put towards education. Now, it's not our entire budget. It's a piece of it because we get a lot of money, as everyone knows, from the state. And that's all due to socioeconomic status and things like that, where that comes into play, which we could discuss a little bit later. Maybe some people will have some questions on that. But our tax levy is approximately 29 million and change, almost 30 million. So one of the questions that I think Mr. Barquette, he's on the finance committee, you know, why did we, can you explain to the public why we went with a 5%?
Yes, we wanted to keep all our staff because of our increasing enrollment, and if we went with anything other than the 5%, we would have to lay people off and cut services, which I think is not in accordance with what we're trying to do. But this board has been very progressive in making sure the students come first. The 5% increase on the tax rate, not on the budget, equates to a $267,000 home, which is the average in Garfield. It's going to be an increase of $158. Broken down to the day, it's going to be 43 cents a day. 43 cents a day to increase our budget taxes by 5%. That gives us the opportunity then to make sure that every child gets a thorough and efficient education. The question was asked also by these gentlemen earlier about surplus. The city council has a larger surplus than us.
Yeah.
And the reason why is that they can generate as much as they can. If we go over 2% surplus of our total budget, it has to go back to the taxpayers. So every year we're giving something back to the city towards the tax rate. And that has been, all board members have worked on that over here, and I really applaud all of you.
Thank you. So yeah, you know, as Mr. Barquette said, the 5% we didn't want to we went with that because we thought it was best. I actually thought it was best, and one of the things that I have to say is, I'd rather give it to the public to decide. If we decide that, for example, if we would have just went with, and I'm just throwing a number out there, 2%, we knew right away that we were gonna have cuts, and these two gentlemen were there and they seen that, and we knew right away we were gonna have cuts. My viewpoint, and I think they'll agree with me, is why should we decide on making these cuts? Let's put it to the public, let's see what they have to say. And you know, we could go from there. And as Mr. Barquette said, you know, this is for the following year. So let's say our budget turns out to be better, because this is a projected, it's an estimate. If it turns out to be better, that money will go back to the taxpayers. And that's the hopes. You know, we've cut back on spending tremendously. We look at the books, well, not me personally, but our BA and our superintendent look at the books with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that there's nothing that's excessive, okay? And so, you know, that's how I felt about it. Let the public decide. And so.
Now, with that, what other budgets actually have to be passed and voted by the public?
May I? There's no other budget in the state of New Jersey that's voted upon except the Board of Education budget. We do not vote on the federal budget, we do not vote on the state budget, the county budget, or the city budget. They have carte blanche. Of course, they have to provide a thorough and efficient mechanism in the city and provide the taxpayers with these services. But our budget, in all due respect, is the whipping boy of everyone in the state, because the only budget that they vote on is ours, so the taxpayers have a right to vent. And I applaud them, but they have to understand that education may be expensive, but not giving these youngsters the proper tools to get ahead in the world becomes a detriment. And I really believe that we have to move ahead in this city.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, as Mr. Barquette was saying, you know, basically the school budget is the only budget that is voted on. You know, every other budget, they basically, like he said, have carte blanche. They could pretty much do what they want. We are always the whipping boys, which, you know, it is what it is. We have to deal with that. That's the job we take on, and we welcome that job. Dean, you have any questions?
As far as the recent improvements we've had, obviously the budget comes into play moving forward with these improvements. We've had certain things like the security officers improving. We've been getting a lot more of those, locks on the doors, that Raptor system. How is this budget going to improve and continue to do those things? And if the budget doesn't pass, how is it going to affect those?
Well,
Just if you speak a little louder, they can't hear you.
Yeah, if you could speak up.
if the budget does not pass, then the process, it goes to the city council. The city council has a right to make cuts, but they have to identify specific line items. They just can't say we're gonna cut X amount of dollars. And I past experience with the city council that they do not cut haphazardly. They will cut areas they feel that maybe there's a little too much fat in there, and I don't believe that we have any fat in this budget. But if it's not passed, yes, there will be cuts. Then we don't have to agree to their cuts. It comes back to the board, and we can make cuts as we see fit. The problem here, though, is that I believe in my heart, we need every dollar in this budget to keep moving ahead. We do not want to cut security. We do not want to stop with the improvement of buildings. Just as an aside, Rutherford just passed a $43.5 million referendum to improve 4 schools. I don't understand why we can't do something similar for their football field and for some of the buildings that need to be repaired.
I agree. We also have some teachers, we were speaking about it in the last video, we have some teachers that are going into their own pocket to supply their classrooms, and obviously for the benefit of the children, and that's, you know, taking more money away is going to be very difficult to get them the supplies they need.
And that's something that we're hoping that we could help, you know, moving forward with the 5%, that we can help the teachers get the supplies they need and not reach into their pocket as much as they have been for past years.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. I mean, everybody knows I'm a teacher, so, you know, it is tough. I mean, there's lots of times where I'm on Amazon priming things to my house for my classroom. And I know the teachers of Garfield do that all the time. And so these are all things, like when you look at this budget, that come into play. And you know, in the grand scheme of things, people say, and I discussed this online the other day. Somebody brought up something like, oh, well, you know, a certain town only gets this amount of money, and why does Garfield get so much money? You know, you got to look at the demographics and the socioeconomic status of, I mean, aren't we right, of the people in town. I mean, I looked at, and I believe me, I was taken back by this, but in Garfield, they said the average salary or income was $42,000, and that's difficult for a parent that, you know, is making that type of money to be able to, you know, put food on the table, pay the rent, educate the children. So when people say, you know, why do we get so much, it's because that's why. We need to be able to educate these children and give them a thorough education. And I you know, that's why I think that should have been explained. And isn't it true too, I'm jumping around a little bit here, somebody also asked about the charter schools and how it affects our budget.
Well, I run a charter school, and I live it every day. I'm in Englewood, and most of my students come from Englewood, Bergenfield, Teaneck, etc. And as a charter school, we get 90% of the per pupil cost. So the per pupil cost is, say, I'm gonna make it very easy. If it's $10,000, I get $9,000, and the local district keeps the other 10% just to keep the name on file. The controversy there is that many individuals feel that the charter schools are taking money away from the public sector. Actually, we're not, because of the fact that we're educating the child, and it has become a school of choice. In Garfield now, we do have the Bergen Arts and Science.
Yeah.
That is about a $7.58 million expenditure every year, which does hurt us in all due respect. One of the problems I have, and I'll probably get calls from the Commissioner of Education and the county office, I think the Bergen Arts and Science is a tremendous school, but I'm against what they're doing. They're under a private ownership, and I don't believe that should be done in New Jersey. We should be public. You know, they are the island schools. They have seven sites they have in New Jersey, and they are owned by a private company. I think that's absurd. So I'm sure I'm gonna get I'm gonna get called by somebody, but that's the way I feel. I am a public guy my whole life. I love education. I believe in you gentlemen here. I believe in the process of voting, and whatever the people vote for, we have to follow. If the people vote the budget down, we will have to make cuts. So I'm going to ask the people, in general, board members, city council members, please go out this year and help us pass the budget. Help us pass the budget, because it's something that's necessary to keep us moving ahead. And I do applaud the city council at this point. They have been proactive on their end, and I hope that they can help us along the way.
No, I totally agree. Now, I know some of you, somebody's need to get a microphone. We will work on that. We will work on that. I have a big mouth, so I'm loud. But you know, some of the things that people don't realize how, at least I don't think they do. Some do, some don't. How cuts, like if the budget gets voted down, and how these cuts, it just doesn't affect. It affects everyone. I was discussing this the other day with Carmen and Dane, and you know, it affects the school in a sense where we lose programs, we could possibly lose teachers, supplies, things. Anything and everything could be affected by that. You know, it affects the parents. I think.
Can't this possibly affect, you know, parents that, I mean, depending on these extracurricular activities, these after-school programs, to basically watch their children because they're working all day. How are they expected to you know, pay for childcare and babysitter or things of that nature?
Well, that was one of the, yeah, I mean, you're right, and that's what I think, you know, sometimes people don't realize. I think people who don't have kids, there's different sectors of this where people don't realize, like the ones that do have kids, you know, we have after school programs, really great after school programs. Now, if something gets cut and the after school programs get taken away, now this parent has to like fumble around looking for some place to put their children. I mean, I see it on Garfield parents all the time, you know, where they want to send their kid to here or there, or to the Y Boys Club, but our schools have after school programs, and these are some ways it can affect the children, because now the parents need to find somewhere to put their kids. You know, it also affects the everyday taxpayer. I mean,
Yeah, if we start cutting programs, I mean, we're gonna have more kids roaming the streets like we used to. Hopefully they would go home when the streetlights turn on, like we all used to, but that may not happen. So the best thing that we could do is try to keep these programs going and to help keep the children off the street. And so when they get home at night, they do their homework quick, they go to bed, and you know, it's an early night, it actually helps the parents as well.
and I think we can all agree that, you know, keeping our children safe and off the streets and in schools is a priority. And that's why when you know, sometimes individual taxpayers, they'll say, you know, I don't have kids in the school system. And we realize that, and I'm a senior citizen, and the taxes are higher. We realize that. We take that into consideration. But you also don't want, you know, the neighborhood children running around. You know, that gives them more chances of getting into trouble and bad things happening. So, you know, it does affect the everyday taxpayer. You don't want kids being, I don't want to call it malicious, but you don't want kids running around and finding trouble. I mean, we all have, I think, when we were kids, if we had nothing to do, what did we do? We found trouble, and then mom and dad gets called. So, you know, I that's one thing. And also the schools, you want them to be better, because it'll increase the values of our homes. If we don't that's the first thing when you move into a town, what's the first thing they do? They drive by the school, they look at the facilities, and they try and find out how good the schools are. So if we start taking money from probably one of the biggest areas that increase property values, what do you think's going to happen? And I think that's a major thing that people don't even realize. I mean, again, and I'm not trying to throw my business out there, but I'm a home investor. I look for towns that have the best school systems because I know the property value is gonna sustain itself. So these are things, it does affect every single person in this town. Every single person, regardless of who you are.
I want to clarify something. The city's on a calendar year. They are January through December. Board of Ed is on a fiscal year, July through June. So the 5% that we're talking about really equates to 4.2% based upon the overlapping years. You take the tax rate from the calendar year, tax rate from the fiscal year, add them together, divide by 2, and you get your increase. And again, it comes out to pennies a day. And I know that some people have it hard this time, but we have to do something to bring up the morale, the schools in general. I'm proud to say that we have a few new schools that were built for the SDA, and that was the effort of many board members and many administrators. And I do want to applaud our superintendent, Ms. Siaka, and our BA. They worked diligently on putting this budget together, and they worked very hard at making sure that they're meeting all the needs of the students and the staff and the taxpayers. And I'm again hoping that everyone comes out and votes for this budget.
No, I mean, I agree. I definitely agree. You know, I'm sure, how do you two gentlemen feel about that? I mean, I'm not going to speak for you. I want you
Yeah,
to.
no, absolutely. I think the 5% is what we need to keep the school where it's at and moving forward. The last thing we want to do is move backwards.
I agree.
All the hard work that's been done to add these improvements, why are we gonna, you know, potentially take those away? It doesn't make sense.
No, absolutely. So I guess, I mean, do you guys have anything else you want to bring up? I mean,
Yeah.
any other
Well,
comments?
I'd like to make a comment about our, last weekend, our wrestling team went down to Atlantic City, and we had 2 of our students in the tournament. Of course, they didn't win, but they did one heck of a job, and I want to applaud them. This is something that, again, that has been instilled in us as Boilermakers. I went to Garfield High. I did play football. I did play basketball, as small as I am, but I did play. And I was a starter. And we loved every minute of it, and I do believe in giving back. And another thing too, I'm watching the NCAA the other day on TV, Kentucky versus Louisville, I forget what it was, and it was there, Dick Vitale. But Dick Vitale took my job. When I left Garfield, number 3 school, and went to Saddlebrook, Dick took my job. And look where he is today. He's one of the top guys in the NBA. Now we also have Miles Austin, who's in San Francisco. You had Wayne Corbett, who was my student at school number 4,
Louis Castillo.
and Louis Castillo. So yes, we are truly the city of champions. And I know this board wants to continue to do this. And I also want to applaud our president. I see a definite change. Everett Granto has done one heck of a job in keeping everybody together. He is very determined to make sure we get things done the right way. And he's also a police officer. So I think you have here businessman, electrician, teacher, administrator, police officer, and Mr. Mazzola, also businessman, Chuck Lucifer from the courts. I think we have one heck of a team. And Alan Fogarino, who is an accountant. So
He's actually on the finance committee.
yes,
all right?
Alan was chairman of finance.
And you know, I have to bring him up. I really have to give him kudos because Mr. Focarino, when we at the last board meeting when we were talking about the finance, and you know, I even said to you guys, you saw in the meeting, the meeting was live. I made a comment like maybe it should be 4%, and then after Mr. Focarino's explanation of all of it and how detrimental it could possibly be, and some of the programs that could be cut. I mean, he really made me see. I'm not going to lie. He made me see that we should go for the 5% and let the public decide. And that's my whole thing. Let the public decide. Why should I be or any of us put our children's education on the chopping block from the get-go? Let the people decide. That's not fair to the children. It's not fair to the teachers, it's not fair to the parents, and it's not fair to the taxpayers. Let them decide, and if they speak, then we address it at that moment, you know? It's not that we're trying to hurt anybody with taxes. We just rather it start at the top, let the taxpayers make the decision, and then as it comes down, we do what we have to do. I mean, that's really the way I feel about it. At this time, I guess, anybody have any questions, comments about budget stuff? We could try and look at the questions from here. We're getting more sophisticated as time goes on. Like our backdrop. Tomorrow night, yes, we are at the Firehouse. It's a Slice Baby Garfield 2020. You guys might want to come down, grab a slice. We will be there supporting as well. So, and again, we do need, that's the other thing. If budgets like this do get cut and you have a good working relationship with the city council, correct me if I'm wrong, it makes life a lot easier when you're working together and you're able to, I guess, supply, here we go, Slice Baby. Oh, it went away again.
Did you just touch the screen?
Huh? Okay, good.
If I may, Mr. Barber, I'd also like to make a comment about the current situation, the coronavirus. I also want to applaud our administration. They are proactive. They have sent out communications to the parents. They've sent out communications to the county office. We get directives every day from the New Jersey Department of Education. I know we're having some half days in order for the teachers to provide homework, etc., for the students, and yet they can't come to school. And then again, I applaud all boards with our technology. I think we have the best technology in the county, in all due respect, with what we've got. All the Chromebooks, all the iPads that we have. And I think, again, this is a progressive board. We're looking ahead. I know the taxpayers will support us. I really feel strongly they'll support us this time because they see what we're doing. And again, I want to remember, be safe out there with that coronavirus. Watch where you go, and don't take any chances, please.
Denise asked, where do we see the details of the proposed budget with the 5% increase? We will, correct me if I'm wrong,
It's not public.
it's not public yet. I mean, the stuff, if you were at the public meeting, what we discussed, we're allowed to discuss. I believe it will be public at the March 24th.
After the public hearing.
Okay, after March 23rd, actually, is it 23rd or 24th?
It'll be given out to the public that night.
Okay, yeah. So on the 24th meeting, 23rd, excuse me,
23rd.
it will be made public that night. I encourage all 38 people that are in here right now to come out, tell your friends, family, and get that budget. And ask us questions that night too. You know, I want you guys to come and get the budget. I want you to see. And we want you to see too, ask us about the cuts and ask what would happen if this budget's not passed. You know, it's about you guys being informed, and that's really what we want. We want everyone to be informed. We want you guys to understand budgets, how it works. Again, a few of the points that I noted was tax levy, you know, it's not $110 million budget that our taxpayers take on. It's a tax levy, which is roughly almost 30 million, 29 million, I have the exact number here, 29,776 and change. So the 5% is based off of that. And those were numbers that we talked about, I mean, at that meeting, so, you know, that's why I'm bringing it up right now. But the full gamut of it, you're gonna have to come to that meeting and you will get it. After we have it and it's public, I will post it. Somebody.
If I may, Mr. Barber, just as an overview for the last question about the budget expense, it takes in salaries of teachers, classroom textbooks and supplies, tuitions for special education students, guidance counselors, nurses and the school physician, attendance officers, principals and assistant principals, child study teams, curriculum supervisors, librarians, et cetera, et cetera. That will be broken down specifically. You can see exactly where the money's going, and you will see that we are nowhere near overstaffed as far as staff. As a matter of fact, I believe we are in concert with the county as far as that. And again, I want to echo what Mr. Barber said. Please, come out, ask us questions at the budget hearing, voice your opinion, and maybe you'll see fit to go out and vote for the budget. I would really ask everybody to please consider that this year.
Somebody asked, thank you, time and location of the public meeting. The public meeting is March 23rd. I believe it, well, we have it's 6 o'clock. You guys could be there. It's 6 and then 7?
Usually 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
We'll come out of committee. You know.
Well, it's 6 o'clock it starts. We usually go into committee, speak, and then of course, at around 7 o'clock we come out. It's nice to be there a little early at 6 o'clock because if we don't stay in committee too long, you could possibly miss the meeting. We don't want that to happen, so it'd be best to show up at 6 o'clock. It is at the middle school. Be there. I hope you guys come. I encourage you to come. We need parents to get involved because when you really hear all that we do and we try to do for the children, you will get it out there and you will spread the word. I know it. I'm confident in that. I'm confident that when you see what we have to offer and what we're doing and what we try to do, you'll be very impressed.
And we're gonna bring the meeting, we're gonna record it like we did last time.
Oh yes.
So we'll definitely bring it to you guys if some people can't make it, you know, so at least you can get more of an understanding on it. And no one misses what, you know, everything about the budget, what they're bringing up to, you know, for it.
Yeah, well, that's true too. We're going to continue to Facebook Live the meetings. You will be able to see it. The only drawback is when we're sitting there, we don't have time to like answer questions like we can now. But so if you're there, it's more, you're more proactive, you're into it, you're involved, you can ask questions. Unfortunately, we can't stop and look at questions, although I wish I could sometimes and address things, but unfortunately we can't. Any other questions before we close this out? I think it's about time. What's the time? I have a time guy over here. It's 7:30 right now. Anybody else? All right.
Please come to the meeting.
Please
Yes,
come
please
to the
come
meeting.
to the meeting. It's very important.
Dan, you want him to come to the meeting?
Of course I wanted to come.
I want him to come to the meeting. Ms. Marquette, you want him to come to the meeting?
Looking forward to seeing all my former students from school 4 and 8. Please come out. You're living in Garfield yet, come and vote for the budget. And please help us get the system moving forward.
Carmen Brianna,
Thank
you
you.
want him to come to the meeting?
Absolutely.
I seen one other question back here. Hold on. I think let's see. Real quick. Kids on the streets, even just playing, can get hurt and injured, which could result in a doctor visit or even a hospital. Children need adult supervision. That is correct, Linda Barber. My mother, I love my mom. Mom, I love you. She is so right. Adult supervision, that is another reason why it's good to have these after-school programs. They're supervised by teachers, supervisors, other adults. So, you know, mom is correct. And
Like always.
always, she's always correct. Even when mom's wrong, but she's never wrong. So, let's not go there. All right, any last comments?
Just, you know, we're looking for everyone to come out and support us. Definitely looking to pass the budget for the children. At the end of the day, the most important thing is the children. That's what we're here for.
Right on, Mr. Barquette.
I agree with what was just said. I don't want to belabor it. Please come out and vote. And also, voice your opinion at the budget hearing. We like to hear what you have to say.
thank you for your time. I hope this cleared up some of the questions you guys may have had about the budget, and we want to continue providing this service for you guys. Thank you.
Yes, definitely come out, come see us at the meetings. Hi, Scarlett. My daughter just said hi, Daddy. And don't forget tomorrow night, Slice Baby. You want to meet the right candidates. We're going to be there. Garfield 2020 is going to be there, and hopefully all of you will be there. Signing out. See you guys later. Carmen, go shut this off for me.
No problem.
Good job. Mr. Barber, I applaud you. Good job. I applaud you.